Today, we're going to be talking about the importance of your GPA. Where do I go with this? So, I very much focus on community college transferring, right? Because I am an academic counselor at the community college level in California. I've been doing it for a few years, and I'm just kind of familiar with the policies and the admissions processes from four-year institutions, mostly in California, some private universities around the U.S. So, I want to link a percentage to how important your GPA is. And this is the thing. You come from high school, right? And technically you don't actually have to graduate high school to be a community college student. But what four-year universities do have is a certain number of college units that when a student meets that, let's say it's 12 units. Most CSUs and UCs, they say around, all right, if you've taken 12 units worth of college coursework, we're only going to consider all of your college coursework, and we're no longer considering your high school GPA, rigor of the courses you took, SAT, ACT scores. Now, AP exam results would still play a role because that is equivalent to actual units. Now, most community college students go and enroll, meet with the counselor. They have an idea of what major they're going to do. Let's say, I've been using architecture a lot, but let's say business administration, because it's not too simple, it's not too difficult. Actually, depending on where you go, business administration could be difficult, but it'll work. You go to your community college, first semester, you say, hey, counselor, I'm trying to get into college. Basically, we're going to come up with a plan and say, all right, so what's your number one school? Business administration, a student might say UC Irvine. That's one of the few UCs that have business administration. Most of the others, like Berkeley and San Diego and Santa Barbara, they have more of an economics. And pardon the bumping and thumping, but my roof is being worked on. And the microphone is picking up all of it, I'm sure. Anyhow, so we're going to come up with, first of all, we're going to say, where are you in math? I would say, all right, so did you do pre-calculus in high school? Basically, are you ready for statistics? Are you ready for what a lot of schools are going to call business calculus or business math? And then just a straight up geometry calculus 1 and 2. Some campuses, UC San Diego is going to say, oh, what about, they want you to take more than calculus 1 and calculus 2. They want you to take intermediate algebra and linear equations. But nonetheless, we get you an English 1A. We get you maybe an orientation. We get you into business law. We get you into microeconomics, right? You're full-time. In the first year, now I'm going to suggest for a student to come in, I'm going to suggest you do 15 units a semester. So you don't have to use your summers, so you don't have to use your winter. You use fall for the 16 weeks, or depending on where you're at, could be 15 weeks. You take 15 units in there, right? Bam. And then in spring, you take 15 units again. And by summertime, you've got 30 units. You're eligible for TAG, for transfer our admission guarantee, a transfer admission guarantee. And, it's easy to fulfill the CSU ADT or Associate Degree for Transfer requirements. And so it's going to come down to this. How selective is the campus you're going to? I have data. I'm compiling a pretty detailed data sheet that's having all of the UC admission kind of numbers. How many people applied from high school? How many people applied from other colleges as transfer? How many got in? What's the acceptance rate? Now, what's been hard to find is basically the distribution of GPAs at each campus. For some reason, that is not readily available information, which I really want to find that somewhere and share it. I might have to contact, the California Community College Chancellor's Office or something to find that kind of data, or the CSU or the UC system. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and put this out there because folks are like, okay, so how important is it out of admissions? What chunk of the admissions decision leans on GPA? 85% of your whole admissions into a four-year university has to do with your GPA. Let's see, what's the last 15%? Let's say another 5% is the rigor of the courses that you've taken, right? Did you come in the first year and do 18 units first semester, 18 units second semester? Or did you come in and you said, I'm going to start out part-time, I'm going to go 8 units and then 8 units, and it took you 3.5 years, right? Which is that's not an issue, but they will look at that. Especially if you're applying to, let's say, a California State University. You don't get to say anything about yourself, right? You don't get to write an essay. You might, I suppose, if you signed up for EOPS or Extended Opportunity Programs and Services, they have you write a little bit more about yourself, but that's having to do only with EOPS and not admissions to the campus. So they look at your transcript, they just, all right, business law, econ, statistics. All right. Did you get an A? Did you get a B? Did you get a C, D, F? No pass, pass, incomplete, I suppose is an option as well. A 3.2, a 2.7, 3.9, a 4.0. It all has to do with what kind of effort you put in, right? One thing that I really like to use is the impaction list of majors at San Jose State University. A lot of CSUs don't have it, UCs don't have it. San Jose State University does. Good old Spartans. Can I say alma mater for that? Is that my alma mater? Yeah, for grad school. They list every major they have. Let's say we're talking about business administration. Now, as we are. Within business administration, guess what? They're breaking it down for every concentration. Finance. Let's say the finance, they say the lowest GPA of a student that got into the program. If that was one student, if it was 100 students, they mark it as, all right, finance, now because COVID jacked up all the numbers, it might be around 2.7 right now. Before COVID is like, for finance, like the lowest GPA to get in is like 3.3, okay, 3.4. And then general business administration, that's a little higher. It's like that was 3.7. Right now it's probably like 2.5. I could pull it up and look at it to get the exact numbers, but it's all broken down. International business, managerial business, that kind of thing. And so if you don't have that 3.3 that somebody's looking for, you're done. What are you going to do? You're not. An internship isn't going to do it. I'll say an internship is going to, that would account for about 5% of the decision, right? Oh, looky here. But you only really get to talk about an internship on maybe the UC Insight questions. What else could you use? Volunteer work, right? I've worked at the high school level as well for about 8 years, and students have said so many things about, this random volunteer opportunity. I've never even thought of working with this, group of people or in this way. I'm basically doing it for extracurricular credit for college admissions. And that is a terrible reason to be doing community service. I do community service right now as far as just volunteering my time because I'm trying to serve the community. Community service there's no other benefit to me but to serve the community. That's what it's for. What else is there? Internships. If you can find an internship, there are some, depending on your major, it could be difficult. Research. Me, myself, I went into psychology in undergrad, right? Before I went, I was like, I'm doing research for sure. I'm going to research the possibilities of, I don't know, like the psychology of possibility and how that affects, how you view the world. And so I was like, how am I going to get a research? There's research classes at the community college, research methods, but it's like, okay, but you can't do research there. So being that I was in the Bay Area of California at that time, I was like, who does research by where I live? And I was living not too far from Stanford University. I said, I'm gonna go do research there. They have to need a research assistant, right? I looked up everybody that does research there, all the professors. I email everybody saying, hey, I'm a community college student up the freeway about 20 minutes. I live in the area. That didn't really matter. And I would like to do some research. I've got my research methods down and all this. No response. Automatic responses or no response at all. Just like, who is this guy, right? And I said, you know what? I'm going to go. It's not far from where I live. It's not far from where I went to school. I'm going to show up at Jordan Hall in the psychology department and just go to open doors. And that's exactly what I did. The exact place where I don't know the researcher in maybe like the early 20th century where they did those prison experiments at Stanford, where basically people were pretending to be kind of the guards, and then some people were pretending to be prisoners, and then the guards took it too far and they started thinking they were really the guards in a prison when it was just an experiment. I went to that place. There's no windows on that whole, that's like, it's in the basement. There's no windows and there's brick walls. I'm like, this is Stanford University. What is this? It's just, I ended up getting a research assistant position